Greetings and welcome to RPMV Project, Raising Pigeons for Military Veterans. It is an emotional support group for our troops and first responders. And today, we are here in Houston, Texas area with one of the most famous Raising Pigeon fancier and Loft manager, Mr. Yoannys Sainz. Thank you so much, sir, for letting us visit you today here in your loft and your area.
Thank you for having us, for sure. Thank you for having us here.
Yes, sir.
It's a pleasure.
And we would like to thank Mr. Yoannys Sainz for participating in our recent RPMB fundraising auction. He donated a bird. Well, the one who won that bird, it's really awesome because it's an up and down Porsche 911,
yes.
right? Can you tell us something
and
about that?
You know what? The guy who actually won the bird, actually purchased the bird online. He called me and he was very happy with the pigeon, the quality of the pigeon. He stressed to me. He said a pigeon like this would be worth a lot of money overseas, you know. But he was really happy with the pigeon. So
well, it's a blessing, you know, blessing for the project and blessing to Mr. Yoannys for helping us, and blessing to the one who.
It was definitely a pleasure. I try to help as much as I can in the sport.
Yes, sir.
I mean, if that's one of my way to help. So it was a pleasure to do that for you guys, and anytime, count on me.
That's
for it.
Well, thank you so much for that.
So,
and also, Mr. Yoannys pledged also to donate some perch fee for the project for this coming One Loft Race 2024, and I hope onwards, right, sir?
Yeah, for sure. We'll donate a couple of perch fee, yeah, it'll be good to get some people involved and give them the opportunity to be in the race. So yes.
But of course, you know what? We need to go into our main topic of the visit here, because many people are messaging me, emailing me, sending me, you know, private message. You know, why don't you visit Mr. Yoannys Sainz? You know, why don't you feature him? Well, I said, you know, he's 3 hours away from my place, so. And now that we are here, we have the questions that you've asked me to ask him. We're going to ask first our famous question. How did you get involved in this type of hobby, raising pigeons?
Okay, just a little history. I go back to when I was a kid back in Cuba.
Okay.
I was born in Cuba and came to the United States when I was 14 years old.
Okay.
So at my early age, I would say maybe around 6, 7, 8 years old, I started getting involved, basically because my neighbors across the street had pigeons, and that's how I got involved into the pigeons. And then I fell in love with pigeon ever since then.
Okay.
And it's been in my life for at least about 36 years, pretty much. Wow. You know, that's how long I've been involved in the pigeons. But here in the sport and in Houston, I've been racing now for 23 years and been involved for 24.
And you have a club. You are a club racer.
We do.
Right? You're a club member, I should say.
We do. We have a club. It's called Westside Limited.
Okay.
And bunch of new guys and a lot of long-time flyers too. But it's a really great club. We're doing pretty good. We're actually an independent club now. And we have a really good format for racing, and we're trying to develop the sport. We're trying to help out, grow the sport as the club as well too. So
I think that's one of the biggest club here in Houston, right?
It's getting to be. It's getting to be. We started this year for the first time, racing on our own, and it's growing. Yes, that I can tell you. It will continue to grow because the format of the club and the way we're racing is it motivates people more to race. Correct. You know, we have a format where we have no shipping limits. We race one race.
So you can put as much as you want.
If you have 100 pigeons, you can ship 100 pigeons.
Wow.
And everybody get tested. All the pigeons get tested, and they go to the race. All the birds goes to the races.
So now there's a reason why to buy the benzene M3.
Yes, and a lot of people has it in our club, and they have benzene. We are basically we all use benzene, but one thing that to be part of our club, you have to have benzene live.
Yeah.
So it's going to be mandatory for next year. so we all can see the results online and don't have to go back to the club to do clocking.
Yes.
And so that's another thing that we're promoting.
And that is benzene M3, right?
No, you can use any of the benzene clocks.
Yeah.
And but M3 works perfect because it's
I mentioned about the M3 simply because he mentioned that no limit. And M3 is like up to 10,000 birds.
Yeah, but realistically, nobody's going to fly that many birds. You know, not even in the one loft here in America, there is not even one that has 10,000 birds.
Yeah, that's true. But it's just nice to think about it.
Yeah,
it's like having a.
But I mean, there's people that will fly over 100 pigeons.
Correct.
And like I said, it can be done with any of the clocks from benzene.
Yes.
But I think when you are in the sport and you're getting serious about the sport,
correct,
a lot of people wants to have top-notch equipments.
Yes.
And I'm that way too.
Yes.
So I like for my loft, I have M3.
Yes.
You know, for the one loft race, I have M1 because that's what is working with that program, with the system. But I mean, yes, it motivates people to have better quality of equipments.
Yes.
So yeah, but it'll work. It'll work.
But of course, you know, Mr. Edmondville is the dealer here in the United States.
That is correct.
For the benzene. Well, let's go back to the history. You said when you were 14 years old, you're here, but when you were in Cuba, you already had pigeons, right?
That's right. I started out, like I said, in my younger age, and I had pigeons, and I wasn't in a club. But I had them racing homers, you know.
Yeah.
And
but there's already race. You raced already in Cuba.
See, what I was able to do at that young age is I was able to ship birds on the side with actually the people competing in clubs.
Correct.
They would allow us to send 1 or 2 birds just for fun, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. I did that as a young kid before coming to the United States, and so we did that several times, and it was I mean it was we had a lot of time. I mean, a lot of good time doing that. You know, the counter marks, the rubber bands, and with the numbers on them. So what they did is they had they call it a judge, somebody there, or a witness, not a judge, but a witness, and that person was in charge whenever the bird come in to write down the time. You know, by not a satellite, but I think it was maybe atomic clock. That's what they call it, I think. So radio clock. Yeah. And so I did that as a kid. I did that. I was a friend of mine. I was his witness pretty much. So I would go to a different loft.
Nice.
So I could write down the time of the arrivals of the birds with the rubber band or the counter marks with the number and everything. And that's how they did results back in those days. Nowadays, you know, everybody pretty much, although in Cuba, because of the situations in Cuba, there's people that still use wind-up clocks. Yeah, they no longer do that where they send somebody to you know, another person's loft. But there's a lot of people buying like G2 clocks, benzene, and some other brands. But they're using now electronics. But back in those days, I did it as a kid.
Okay.
And I mean, it was fun. I mean, I like. Every week during racing season, I couldn't wait for the weekend for the race to happen, you know, because that's how much I was involved with racing pigeons.
Excitement
the excitement was it was beautiful. It was beautiful. When it was time for us to come to the United States, and we had the visa and everything to come to the United States, at one point, I was like doubting myself that I wanted to come because I was so involved with pigeon and I loved it so much. That it was a hard decision, you know.
And you think that there's no pigeon racing here?
Yeah, I didn't think it was pigeon racing here, and that was at that time that was kind of holding me a little bit. But then I said, you know, I got to go for a better life, you know, and I went with my grandparents, and that's who they brought me here.
So how did you start here? Like, you know, the pigeon racing here when you came here?
Okay, so after moving from Cuba to the States, I lived in the state of Washington. And I got involved in pigeons over there, but wasn't racing homers. They were just a regular fancies, and I had some other pigeons like stray pigeons, you know. And but I used to have them as racing pigeons. I used to fly them, loft fly them, take them, you know, 3 or 4 miles, and they would come back home.
Were you a club member there?
No. I wasn't a club member.
But you have friends who are also fanciers?
Not in that area.
Not in that area.
No. So I came down to Texas after 4 years living up there in the state of Washington. And that's when I actually met club members of racing pigeons here.
So you've been the club member of the same club when you arrived here in Texas?
I actually met, no, it was a different club called Northside Limited back in those days. That was back in 1999.
Oh, okay.
And
that's a long time.
A long time, yes. And then, I started out going to their club and meeting a bunch of people there, and it was all great. Every weekend I would go to their club. I didn't have a house or anything. We lived in apartments, and I didn't have a house where I could raise pigeons. So when I was able to purchase a house, that was like the first thing I did. Just purchase the house. The very next day we closed the deal on it. I was building a loft in the backyard.
What is the size, the first loft in the backyard?
What does it say?
Size of
the size. The size of it, it was if I remember right, maybe like a 6x8.
Okay. Well, that's big.
Yeah.
Already.
So, but then that loft only lasts maybe 6 months or 7 months, not even a year.
Upgraded it.
And I upgraded it to a bigger one, to like a 6x24.
You know why I asked what's the size of the loft when you had the opportunity to build it? Because I know the feeling of the excitement. Because we have fanciers here, believe it or not, our viewers.
Yes.
That live in an apartment, but they have their own, porch that they converted it to as a loft.
I got and this is just changing the subject, but it's the same thing you're talking about. I got a friend in our club right now that is he's doing really good, wonderful. And his first year that he raced out of an apartment. And then he had it in his balcony. He had a small cage and flew the birds in the club.
Why not?
But now he's in the house and he's got a little bit bigger loft and he's competing and he's doing well.
You know what we call that? Being resourceful to meet what you really love to do, right? And we don't judge any fanciers or whatnot.
No.
We support the fanciers. That is why we have this YouTube channel promoting the sports. Are you particular with the bloodline when you were in Cuba, or you just become a particular in the bloodline when you were here?
No, I got to say here.
Here.
Yeah, back in those days as a kid, you didn't look at none of that.
So what line do you remember when you were a kid?
The old family that they had in Cuba was the Stassers.
Okay.
Okay, they had some. Maybe the Sions.
Yeah. So
they had
that's a very old line.
Yeah, I mean these pigeons that go back to the early 1900s and stuff like that. So because they couldn't, after so many with the politicians and stuff, they couldn't import and export. That family pigeons stayed in Cuba for many years, and they still got them. So but it goes many decades.
Now,
back,
when you bought your first house and you built your first loft, what is the bloodline that you acquired right away?
I think going back to the early 2000s, I didn't start off with bloodlines.
You're not really into it yet.
No, at that point.
Not 1999.
Yes.
No.
So what I did is I actually purchased a hen that now everybody pretty much know. I call her La Vela, and that was a pigeon that. Her baseline was I had a little bit of the Jensen and also the Milliman. Yes. So I brought her to the loft and didn't know that I was going to turn into a foundation breeder.
Wow.
But when we started breeding out of these pigeons, or actually when I started breeding out of these pigeons, she was actually gold.
Nice.
She turned to be fantastic. And up to this point, what you're holding in your hand is actually from that same bloodline. So
from year 2000.
So in Spanish we say Bayos, which is a silver. Okay, so her name was La Valla, and stand for the silver. It was the silver hen.
Bayos La Valla.
That was, and this pigeon goes back to that family of birds. So you're having maybe 20 years of history in my foundation. From that pigeon that you're holding right now.
You answered the next question I'm about to ask, like what's the foundation of bloodline?
That's what the foundation was. So that was a $5 pigeon that I actually bought back in 1999.
Wow.
Okay, and I brought her, and I resettled the bird to a new loft, and I was flying the bird. Remember training the bird up to 75 miles, and she would come back home. So after being resettled, she's flown before in a different place here in Houston, but she liked my loft so much that she resettled into the loft.
Wow.
That foundation hen. And then after that, everything else is history. I've done over the years so good with that family, and she became the foundation of my breeding loft.
Jansen and
Mielman. So anyway, that foundation hen is, I still got direct children out of her, but they're already old.
This is one of
they're
them,
already
right?
old. No, she's
not
like maybe like a great granddaughter.
Great granddaughter.
Yeah, but they still carry the color.
Let me just put in the camera really close.
And they're beautiful birds. They fly well. But what I was gonna say too, that hen, La Bella, she was a pigeon that it was very dominant. Her offspring's very dominant in the long distance.
Wow.
So 300, 400, 500-mile races, 600-mile races. That was a pigeon that you would clock all the time. And up to this point, to this new era, they're still clocking in that distance, and we're still getting champion birds out of that family.
Wow, that's your foundation.
Yeah, so that's my foundation, and from there I took in some other birds over the years, and I blended in and continued the foundation, but with different bloodlines.
Yeah.
So, but those are the Sainz pigeons. Sainz pigeons are not pretty much well-known pedigrees, but they're really good pigeons. Nice. And now this type of family, now we're seeing this bloodline winning in the one loft races too.
Awesome.
Blend in with some new families. So yeah, it's great. I mean, I think a pigeon, when you have a good pigeon, it doesn't matter if it flies clubs or one loft races. A good pigeon is going to fly good anywhere. And it doesn't matter if you got to fly over a mountain, if you got to go fly flat land with headwinds, they're still going to fly. Good pigeon is a good pigeon.
Correct.
I believe that.
Correct.
And I remember a friend of mine that lived in Arizona. He said, "Oh, if you send birds over here, they gotta be strong because they gotta fly over the mountain." I said, "That's no problem.
Yeah.
We send them over there. We send birds. The first year we sent bird, he started winning with my pigeons.
Wow.
Right away. So that tells you that they can handle anything, just about anything. So tough race, slow race, fast race. It all goes down to a good pigeon.
So you use that bloodline anywhere. You can send it anywhere.
What I'm doing now is I'm blending it into the new stuff.
Crossing it.
Yeah, crossing it, and then just making them better.
That is my next question to you. How do you breed? Do you breed winner to winner, or you're trying to experiment from, different breed, and then you're going to cross it? What is going to be the result or whatnot? What are your considerations?
I actually, I definitely like winners to winners.
Okay.
Yes, but sometimes I get a winner and I breed that bird into something else. It could be a stock bird. It could be another good breeder. That breeds good pigeons. So when putting pairs together, I do look at pedigrees. Okay. But I also like the conformations of the birds, how they feel. Putting a hen and a cock together. Sometimes I just don't go just off the pedigree. Yeah. I go how I feel the pair and how I like the pair, and I go with that bite. Okay. And sometimes it seems to work. Okay. So for me and other people's, it's been working that way. So, but I definitely like winners to winners. If I get a pigeon that did really good in a one loft race, I might bring that bird home and breed it to a cock bird that it was a champion bird in the club. Correct. That's how I do it.
Correct. So can you tell us about that other bird that you're holding there?
This pigeon that we're holding right here, GSWC 930, it was bred by a good friend of mine, Freddie Majors. And Freddie watched this video. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. This pigeon was...
May I hold that one?
Yes.
And then I'll give this to you.
She goes back a little bit to some of my Charlie bloodline.
Nice.
And yes, that's a pigeon that competed last year in Old Bird, or should I take that back? 2 years in a row, Old Birds. And this pigeon, 930, is a third national ace pigeon this year, 2023 Old Birds.
Nice.
People can search it up. She was 300 miles and 500 miles back-to-back first place in the association. Nice. And she competed against a lot of pigeons in the AU and I believe she ended up third national ace pigeon.
So this is 2021.
2021, yes. And she competed as a young bird. I trained her to 100 miles, and from that 100 miles, I jumped her all the way to, because it was for a futurity race, and I jumped her from 100 miles to 300, and she was one spot out of the money.
Wow.
On that race.
So what is the bloodline?
I believe she's got a little bit of the Klein and Dirk, Charlie, and Freddie got that from me. Okay. And also it's got some of the Wonder Pigeons, some of the old stuff. Yeah. And also I think it's some of the APC from Mr. George Rankin in it. Okay. I got to look at the pedigree. But we bred her 4 babies this year, and I think I'm gonna let her fly one more year, because I want to see how she does with this new club that we have, that we're going to be flying up to 600-mile races. Yeah. So I want to be able to fly her, now that it's a 3rd year, I want to fly her to 600-mile race. Awesome. To see how she does, because she's a really dominant in the distance.
So when acquiring a bird, what the physical, like, you know, because we have some new fanciers watching, and we inspire lots of people get involved with this. What are the things that you consider physically?
I mean, everybody has different opinions. Some people like smaller pigeons. Some people like much bigger birds. I personally like something in between, I would say small to medium, which is something like that. One, yeah. Yes. And as far as the bodies, I like all these muscles in here. A little bit of buoyancy, because pigeons that has buoyancy in it can do better in my way of training. Correct. Okay, so I can work those muscles, and I can make those birds do good for me. Correct. And so I like a little bit of buoyancy in it for my own personal racing. Okay. So that right there, to me, is a perfect quality of pigeon. How she handle and everything, and all her muscles and structure and everything, her wings and everything. I kind of like that. See, let me show her a little bit.
This one is kind of a little bit bigger than
she is, and she got hurt, and then she's going to be flying as old bird. She got hurt, and we put her to the side, so she didn't fly. She's a 2023.
Also, that's why she's gaining weight, something like that.
So this pigeon, this type of wings structure right here, with a lot of pointy feathers on the last 3-4 pointy feathers, I kind of like that for the distance as well too. And like I said, the pigeon is really, she's not even racing, but all her muscles in here. Yeah, that's what I look for.
So it needs to be big but soft, right?
Soft. Yeah, soft. And then you want tight bones in the back, you know. In the back here. Yeah, as much
as close as possible.
Yeah, you want a structure that is firm, put together. You don't want a loose structure in the pigeon, you know, like, don't take me wrong, but I look for results. Correct. A pigeon that can put out the results. If it can't put out the results, all the theories, everything that we know about pigeon, it doesn't mean nothing to me. I personally look for results. So when I get interested in purchasing bloodlines or family of birds, I don't just like to do one. I like to do a few of them. I believe when you have a family, you have more consistency. Yes. Okay, so just for example, and I'm going to talk about this real quick, when I got interested into the Porsche 911, I was watching the national results, and I got interested, and they started winning in the one Loft race, and that's when I became really interested. I said, well, this is a pigeon that can do national results, flying clubs, and they can do the one Loft race. I want that. Correct. And now it's showing.
But of course, pedigree is nice to have.
Yes,
yes, for our record, of course. You know, don't get us wrong.
It was an investment, but at the same time, it was something that I think it was winning. Yeah. And that's how it caught my attention.
We're not against pedigree, you know. No. We're just mentioning.
No, you got to have pedigrees.
Yeah, it doesn't just base there.
Yes. You know. Pedigree is a must. You have to have pedigrees.
Correct.
Okay, but it doesn't mean that a pigeon without a pedigree can be a winner or an ace pigeon.
That's correct.
Because it happened. Look, like La Vela, my foundation breeding hen, she did not have a pedigree.
The grandparents of this.
Yeah, grandparents, great-grandparents.
And now you created the pedigree.
Yeah, I created a pedigree just based on her results. Correct. So, but tracking back all her, her parents and all that stuff, I couldn't get no information. So she did not have a pedigree.
Well, you mentioned about the Porsche 911, and as we all know, Mr. Yoannys Sainz is one of the well-known handler of Porsche 911. And he is also well-known being connected, with PIPA. Can you tell us something about that?
like I said, it was something. It was a family that I got very interested in back in 2018 or 17 to 18, and it caught my attention because I was seeing the national results in Belgium, and those pigeons were at the top and they were winning, and that was something that I kind of liked. And then I think from 2018. Maybe in the national races, I'm not in the national races, my bad. In the One Loft races, I've seen some results out of them. Correct. Victoria Falls, the South Africa $1 Million race, and also in Tenerife, Spain. Yeah. And that got my attention right there, and that's when I make the move to acquire some of that bloodline. And I talked to Nicholas, which we have become real close. You know, we talk a lot back and forth.
So you acquired it directly from Pipa?
From Pipa, from Nicholas. I actually I contacted him, and you know, right on we kicked right on. Had a good relationship, and we started talking back and forth, and that's how I actually acquired the bloodline. So directly from them. I didn't buy it from anybody else. Okay. So when I brought them into the States, it was actually purchased directly to Pipa Elite Center.
So now you still have it here, correct?
Oh yeah, I actually I have a large family of the Porsche 911, and matter of fact, this week some of the best pigeons in the Royal Cup in California was out of that family, and I was fortunate to breed the mother and the father to the first place winner, even though it was a second day race. But I mean, it was the winning bird.
Are you going to give us an opportunity today to show some of the Porsche 911?
Yeah, we could. I have them. I have them over there in the other loft. But yeah, we could.
From club racing, okay, from Cuba to United States, club racing. How did you end up with the One Loft race?
A lot of people may not know this, but the idea of the One Loft race in my mind, I was already racing in the club. Correct. But it goes back to 2006, maybe. Okay. I used to have a good friend down in Corpus Christi, and he had a One Loft race. Okay. When I came over there, I said, one day I want to do this. Okay. And but you know, it all takes is you got to have a property, you got to have the right place to do it. So you know, it takes time in life. Being young and a young family is kind of hard, but I'm glad it worked out over the years, and that's how we got involved. But this is something that goes back many years. Okay. I wanted to do it. Matter of fact, I think back in maybe 2015 or something like that, I was going to do a small One Loft race out of my backyard, but I decided not to do it because I was in a neighborhood and I didn't want to have 300 plus birds flying around the house. So I kind of waited for the right time, and thank God that it happened, and we was able to acquire this, and that's how we did it.
So the first OLR that you have, like how many, do you remember how many birds that you've flown, acquired?
The first year that we did the BGR?
Yeah.
The first year that we did the BGR, it was, we had about 800 pigeons. Okay. And that was the first year.
Still a lot though.
It was a good year for being the first time, yes. Yeah. Yes, and ever since then, we kicked it on, everybody liked the race. The second year we had about 1,700 birds. And now this third year we had about 1,900 birds. So I mean, the race is here, and it's here for everybody. And
so how did you come up with that name, BGR, Black Gold?
The Black Gold race, Texas is known for black gold. Correct. Okay, for oil. Correct. But back in 2012, I had a futurity race here in town in the club that it was called BGR, Black Gold Race. Okay. So it was a band race. Okay. And
it's a money race.
It was a money race, but it was a band race. So when we started looking for a name to do this, my wife thought about it, and she said, well, you already have the name. It's registered through the AU. Why don't you just do the Black Gold Race? Correct. And I said, you know what, that's good. Yeah. And so that's how we named it.
So you used it.
Yeah, I used it once again because, like I said, we had a band race that it was called BGR Black Gold Race.
Well, that's nice that you kept the name.
Yeah, we did. So
and also it applies with Texas, black gold.
Definitely, definitely. That was one of the things that Texas is known for oil, and that's what black gold is, oro negro.
And you're going to be showing us later your One Loft, right?
Yeah, we'll show you the facility, the whole thing in there, and definitely we'll show you some of the Porsche bloodline in there too.
Nice.
Yeah, I got them in there too.
So how do you keep the, what do you call that, your birds healthy? Because you have like thousands of birds there.
We have about 1,300, 35, 40 or something like that. So that's what we got left from this year. This year was a really challenging year.
Yes.
I got to tell you this, and I don't hold anything back to my clients and people that are in the race. We had sickness in the loft more than previous year, and it wasn't because the amount of bird. I don't believe that. It was one of those awful year, and we had sickness, and I think one of the things that helped us is being so involved with pigeons for so many years. So the knowledge of being, but I mean the pigeons got sick, and it was not a good thing. But anyway, we got it controlled. And another thing that happened to me this year that I had never believed in it, and I didn't know that until it happened to me. It was we had to fly away. We lost a few birds off the loft this year, but then everything got settled down, and we got things controlled. But to keep them healthy, like I said, it's a lot of challenge. But normally when they first come in, we quarantine by sections.
Correct.
And we keep them away from each other. So the birds are coming in March. They're not they're in the same loft, but they're not together drinking out of the same water containers and feeders and everything with the ones that come in April or even May. So we quarantine by sections. That seems to work out for the very first year. Worked out just perfectly. Last year it worked out, but then when we got pigeons together, that's when we had an outbreak.
Wow.
But so that tells you that even in the same environment and in the same loft, pigeons can get sick.
Correct.
Just by putting them together.
Wow.
So a lot of people, and I don't criticize, and anybody can do what they like, but a lot of people have quarantine loft. They keep them separate. But also I hear that when they bring them into the loft, they get sick again.
So of course, consideration for my loft, I mean my birds and your birds and the other people's birds, it is also best to make sure that the birds that I'm going to send to you are healthy. Somebody wants to ask this. He asked me, like, hey, can you ask Yoannys, what is the best age of the bird that I'm about to send to him?
Okay, yeah.
It's a good question.
Yeah, it is a good question, and I say it all the time. When you send babies to one loft race, I prefer them around 50 days old. Yeah, anywhere from 45 to 50 days old. That's that. Make sure that they're eating on their own. If you can, put them in with older pigeons before you send them off to one loft race. That way they can get used to being there, fighting off other older pigeons and getting to the feeding.
Correct.
So it's the best that they're drinking and eating on their own before they send them to one loft race. Please don't send babies with little hair on the head.
Yeah, the yellow one, right?
Yes, because I don't want to be hand feeding these babies.
Yes.
So it's best.
You don't mind, but please don't.
I don't mind it, but every year I get them.
Mr. Yoannys is going to show us this one.
This is a ace pigeon. So, like I said, it's a pigeon that did in 2 years. She's flown very, very good for us, and she was a third national
we can make it closer so that they can see the eyes also. Nice.
She was AU third national ace pigeon, all distance, I think.
Can you show the wings to us? Nice. Those are the 4 steps, right?
Yes, and very pointy.
Very pointy.
This bird is a pigeon that does really well at the distance for us.
So of course, people will be asking, hey, I would like to acquire some babies of this. Are you willing to sell some babies of those birds? That bird? Sure.
I mean, see, the thing with me is that I actually raise pigeons, and sometimes when I sell pigeons, I like to sell the best I have.
Yes.
And that's
that
why.
That makes sense then.
So junk pigeons, I don't want to sell them to nobody, you know?
Correct.
So those, we all know.
So you don't mind competing with your own birds?
No, I don't. And I like to sell the best quality I have.
Correct.
Yeah, and sometimes they call me and they say, hey, I want to buy your ace pigeon, and I sell it. You know, if the money is right, I sell it. Yeah, I mean, but it's definitely I like to sell good birds.
So, question also, because they can see that we have some feeds at the back. Are you also, you know, selling if ever that, you know, around the area?
Yeah, in the Houston area, we actually this is our company that provide us feed.
How do you pronounce that?
Cruz Perfection. Yeah, Perfection brand. So we got our own mixes with them, and also we got this grit that we just started bringing it in. It's a really good grit.
This one.
Yes. Yeah, that grit. I got it from Chicago, but it comes from Europe.
Wow.
And it's a really good grit, and everybody that has been using it, they love it. And the Pigeon and the BGR, they get this, and my own birds too. And I mean, they eat it all.
Wow.
They eat it all, and they love it too. So I think this is something that I'm going to stick with for a while.
Yeah. And if they want to buy some of this and that one, they can buy it from you.
I also have it available here.
Okay.
So all the people in the surrounding area.
Okay.
I got people that come from Austin. They just from all over here in Houston, from all over surrounding area, and they get feed as well too. So, but yeah, Cruz is the feed that we're using for the One Loft race, and my own personal birds too. So that's all I use from them.
Nice.
You know.
So how many percentage of protein?
We got the breeder mix that has about 16%, and then the racer mix, we got 3 different racing mix. So one is I think it's a 13.7, the other one is a 14, and we might have another one that is a 14, but it has 19 grain in it. Wow. It was one that I kind of designed.
That's nice.
So it has a lot of grain in it, a lot of fats in it, and it's good for flying young birds too.
Correct.
So a lot of energy in it, and the grains are clean. The feed is clean, so I like it, you know. And
nice. We're gonna take advantage that the rain stopped because it's been raining, and even though it's raining, I saw that 90% chance of rain. It did not stop me coming here. And we would like to give this to Mr. Yoannys, Racing Pigeons for Military Veterans. It's a sticker.
Oh, it's a sticker.
Yes, sir, because he officially, you know, participated to our program. So
nice.
I'm giving this to him, and
Appreciate
he's giving us this BGR hat and BGR T-shirt. And any advice before we head outside for our viewers?
As far as the One Loft race?
Yes, sir.
One of the, I guess, advice that I would give is please vaccinate your birds for pox.
Okay.
It's a must.
You also vaccinate them here, right?
We do. We vaccinate for PMB.
Okay.
When they come in.
But not for the pox.
We done pox, but we're finding out that it's better that people vaccinate the young birds.
Okay.
A lot of people don't believe in vaccinating them, but that's one of the things that I actually encourage everybody to do.
Okay.
So put and then don't just pox the bird and send them the next day.
Okay, of course.
You know, wait
of course not.
Wait couple of weeks, or at least to send the pigeon, you know, after you pox. But yeah, pox them, because pox is really it's a virus that once the pigeon get it and they spread it through all the other ones, it opens a can of worm, and it makes it hard. Correct. Because it brings down their immune system. I mean, it does a lot of harm to the pigeons.
Yes.
So I think one of the main things is we were having a problem this year. Pox was active.
Yes.
And even though we vaccinated, it made it even worse.
Okay. So vaccinate your birds with pox, and then Yoannys will take over for the PNV, right?
Yes. They get pox. They get PMB when they come in.
Yes. Right
through the door. So when I get it from the Postal Service, we bring it in. We put them in the system. We give them a vaccine for PMB. Okay. And this year I'm not gonna give them pox.
Okay. Well, stay tuned, guys, for the part 2 of this video showing the breeding